Eagles. Eagles.
And welcome in, everybody, to a Tuesday night edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Xander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mack, John McMullen, fresh off of day number 10 of Eagles training camp practice today. Johnny Mack was down there for another long day, another long practice. Ran about an hour and 40 minutes today. Not as hot today, but Johnny Mack, how are you on this Tuesday evening, my friend?
Doing well. Yeah, the grind. We're in double digits. So we're getting closer. First preseason game on the horizon. Big running day, which is, difficult to decipher what's good, what's bad. That's part of training camp. Part of it's interesting, not because of that, but Vic Fangio went off on a tangent about the 2011 CBA, and that's being the demarcation line, of which I've talked about for years. I love when Vic validates my thought. He also brought up the calloused hands theory. Nobody gets calloused anymore to get through an NFL season. It's like a real thing. I mean, I talk about it all the time with veteran quarterbacks. You got these veteran quarterbacks that play forever and ever and ever. And they finally get hurt because everybody gets hurt eventually in this game. And you get these young guys and they come in and they get hurt right away after it happens all the time. And my thought has always been that because they're not callous to playing in the NFL. And I think that's a big part of it that people don't really think about. But yeah, it was a big rushing day, and you're not tackling, so it's kind of hard to decipher. Was that good? Was that?
Yeah, right.
So it was a tough practice to sort of digest.
Football, John, by its nature, is a physical sport. It's hard to get any sort of gauge on anything to me when there's no tackling. It's part of where we are in the world and in the league. But I do think just in general, it's hard to get a gauge.
Yeah, it really is. But it is much easier from a passing perspective because you get to see actual traits and things like that. But the running game, it really is sort of like now, Landon Dickerson spoke after practice. And he was asked about that very thing because we had just watched a heavy running practice. And it's like, basically, how do you know if it's going well? And for him, it was like, what do you mean? How do you know if it's going well? Like, he was saying from their perspective, it's pretty easy to figure it out. But to an outsider's perspective, it's impossible. And that's the difference. So, but, they watch the film, alignment, assignment, technique. Did you get a hat on the right person? Did you open up the right gap? So from their perspective, they're watching the film and they know, well, this is a good play. But we can't tell that, certainly not and especially from field level. Can't tell. And then, the Eagles do have a big video board that if you're close enough, you can see the replay. So you can see plays as they develop. And I was pretty close to it today. And I saw a play where Trotter, they blew it dead. Trotter got two hands on Saquon. I'm like, yeah, but he was reaching. I'm like, Saquon's probably going to break that. So it works both ways. That had a good outcome from the defense, but it works both ways because, just from watching, my thought was Saquon would break that tackle, but you blow the whistle. So it's tough, and that's what today was.
It is. It's tough to gauge, Johnny Mack. You do a pretty good job at it here on the show. We appreciate everybody being here tonight. We'll get to all of our super chats here today. We appreciate all you guys being here. Day number 10 John, Vic, you mentioned Vic already, the calloused hands theory, talking a little bit about Jonathan Greenard. What are your thoughts, John, on what he said about Greenard, just in terms of the time being missed and the impact that is to the team without obviously a player that they traded for and extended because they needed him to be a big part of the team. Now it looks like he's going to miss probably most of, if not all, of training camp here in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, Vic's a guy who loves practice, so he's always going to pay a lot of attention to practice. Personally, I don't worry about it that much because he knows how to play. He's in the category. As long as he's back with 2 weeks to go, fine. There's a little bit different. Vic likes his edge defenders to drop in coverage a little bit more than most. So he doesn't get reps doing that. And that's where he went into the tangent about the 2011 CBA.
Yeah, right.
Guys weren't callous playing football if they held out or you missed time. And he said that's something we have to be conscious of. So maybe his reps aren't quite as high as what were expected. And maybe that's part of that. Jalen Sun's playing so well, and that another big day today. Nolan Smith is still there, so you have depth, and even at the lower level with Ebiketie and Epinesa. Although Epinesa had a tough day, got Andy Dalton caught him off sides with cadence, and also got a pass interference. So tough day for him, but he's been playing well overall, though. And, they did a 4-minute where basically the goal is for the offense to get a first down and close out the game. And the offense was able to do it because Andy got him to jump off sides. And that's, I know people were talking about cadence. Yeah, if you got a veteran quarterback, if you got Aaron Rodgers has been doing that for 15, 20 years, getting free plays all the time. But most young guys are used to clap. Like they're not drawing people off sides. But if Andy's out there, he can do it.
No doubt. All right, good stuff there, John. We'll get more into what Vic Fangio had to say. Something we got to hit on here early in the show is Quinyon Mitchell went down in practice today. What'd you see there? What's your concern level with it? And what do you know about Quinyon going down today?
Yeah, I didn't see it. I was during one-on-ones, but I was told that he got he was getting looked at by a trainer and got up, had his helmet, was trying to get back in, but they were being cautious. So I don't think it's anything serious. I was watching one-on-ones with the running back. One of my favorite things in football practice is watching running backs try to do pass protection against linebackers because it is fun. It is an absolute shit show, and they were doing that. So I was paying attention to that. And then they were doing one-on-ones with the defensive front against the offensive line. So you got to pick and choose. And I've been looking at a lot of one-on-ones for receivers and cornerbacks throughout camp. So I wanted to get a heavier look at the other side. And I missed it, but from all indications, he was trying to get back in. He had his helmet, and they're just going to be cautious, especially with a player like that.
Fair enough. Good news there. We obviously don't want anything to happen to Quinyon. John, what was it? Was it his arm? Was it what? Did you
don't know?
What it was?
I mean, don't know. Don't have any idea. I don't know.
Fair enough. All right, we'll see what ends up happening there. Johnny Mac at practice on the field today, an hour and 43 minutes, somewhere in that range, I think it was.
I think hour 44 is supposed to go 2 hours. They cut it a little bit short. It was actually hotter than expected. It was supposed to rain. It was supposed to be cloudy, but the sun came out. And they shut it down a little bit earlier than expected, but still they did some conditioning, developmental, close to 2 hours when you count the conditioning. So it wasn't too far off.
Fair enough. All right, good stuff there, John. So what stuck out practice today? You mentioned some of them. I saw Elijah Moore had some plays made today. Obviously, Mitchell kind of stood out a little bit in the post-practice reports. What stuck out to you from your watching today of over 100 minutes of practice?
Yeah, that was the biggest play. Elijah Moore got matched up with Andre Sam for a deep shot. Jalen Hurts took advantage of about a 47-yard touchdown. That may be the longest touchdown in camp. And he continues to play well. Other than that, I if Jalen Hurts threw it 10 times in the entire practice, maybe it was just, they were working on the run game heavy, and everybody looked pretty good. Saquon Tank, Will Shipley, they all look pretty good. But again, that's why I brought up a couple of days ago, I brought up Doug Peterson's landmark practice. This not that bad, but this was kind of like that. It's like you're doing a lot of running stuff. You're doing 4-minute trying to close out the game. They did backed up, trying to get off the 2-yard line with a lot of running the football. So very limited from most practices when it comes to the passing game.
Fair enough. Staying on the run game, John, how much different do you think it's going to be? Yesterday you put it at, 60-40, and last year you thought it was 40-60 if you're talking about outside zone, wide zone compared to the inside zone that they'd been, kind of buttered their bread on. How much different does the run game look to you? Again, it's hard to – we talked about it at the start of the show today, how hard it is to gauge without pads on. But how much different does the run game look to you, or how much different do you think it will be this year and what they're trying to do? Because – I do still believe they got to be a run team first, J-Mac, and if
they're definitely going to be a run team first,
right? So how do they get that thing going?
Health, that's number one. So I mentioned Landon. Landon was talking today. He got a question from one of the film guys, one of the guys who does a lot of film work. And every once in a while, Landon is, I want to call him short, but if he doesn't like a question, he won't, do much with it. And he got asked about duo blocking, which the Eagles, and he said, we ran, his exact answer was, we ran duo in the old system too. It's the same thing. That play really hasn't changed. It's like, I think people build it up more. So, they're going to run duo. They're going to run pin and pull. They're going to run inside zone. They're going to run outside zone. It's just going to shift a little bit to more outside, more stretching the field. That's it. That's going to be the only difference. And the effectiveness is going to be on the health of the offensive line, in my opinion, and Saquon, obviously.
How well do you think Saquon fits it? Because I know you've had this thought process before that you don't exactly see him as much of an outside. I don't want to speak for you. What do you think?
Well, I don't. He does. I don't. He's always struck me as more of a, I guess he considers jump cut. He's got a very good jump cut. I guess he considers that patience. When I think of patience, I always think of Le'Veon Bell. It's just, sort of going half speed until bang.
Yeah.
And that's what I think of. He thinks about it a little bit different. He's the all pro, so I'll defer to him. He doesn't think he thinks he had to be more patient in the old style. But we'll see. We'll see how. He's a good back. He's gonna do well in anything from a running perspective.
That's kind of, he strikes me as that guy. Like, maybe some fits him a little better than others, but he feels to me like he's got the skill set to be good in just about anything.
But you're just going to run a little bit more outside zone than he used to. And you're going to be under center, which is designed to help Saquon more. But they did a shitload of pistol today. A shitload. So they're not going to be in their most effective running plays, because generally it's been in the goal in the red zone. They've been from pistol, more shotgun when quarterback draw. So we'll see how much they lean, but they're definitely leaning into the running game.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. I think that's a very necessary part, obviously, of the team. So that's a good thing. I mean, it's obviously we'll see how well it looks, but how's the offensive line look in terms of health? Cam and Landon, do they look like they're back to form to you? Not? Yes? No? What do you say?
I mean, Cam does. I'm a little bit more worried about Landon, but I asked him how he's doing physically. He doesn't like talking about that, but said he feels good. He's out there every day.
Yeah.
Now they're managing him much more. They gave him a rest day. They give him reps off. Drew Kendall gets some first team reps at left guard because he takes some reps off. So they never did that before. They are making adjustments to try to keep him as healthy as possible. But I mean, he's practicing every day, and he doesn't seem miserable because he's in immense pain. And Cam seems even better. He came up twice, but that was just heat related. So right now, everybody looks good from a health standpoint.
Here's a super chat, John. Dice Manx. What's up, Dice? He says this. How does Landon look? PHLY show said he looks slow and not even close to himself. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's never been a movement guy. He's always been a mauler. He's always been one of the biggest, most physical guys. I didn't see it. I didn't hear it. I don't know if it was Fran or EJ or Bo, but my guess is they're thinking about him in a movement-based scheme. And I don't think it's going to be as big a deal as people think it is. Big a change. I don't think the average fan's going to notice that much, to be honest.
Maybe your P1s will know, but the average person sitting on the couch, throwing on the Eagles game might not know.
No. I mean, it'll look different because they'll be under center more. But they started that last season. And people didn't seem to notice, so I assume they won't notice it this season.
I don't know. I'm a little concerned on Landon. I mean, I've never seen somebody get rid of a year on their contract. Hey, here's a year.
Well,
back.
I mean, the injury concerns are legitimate. I mean, he's had 3 friggin', I don't know how many knee surgeries he's had.
I mean, he had a couple coming in.
Yeah, I mean, those are legitimate questions. As far as, him being, I don't know what the framing was, slower. I mean, was he ever not slow? He was always a power guy. So he was the one I've been saying, yeah, in general, if you want to run Alex Gibbs stuff and you want to run old Denver stuff, like Chris Kuper back in the day, when they had 280, 290 pounds. He doesn't seem like a fit for that, but it's the same with Saquon. Is good players tend to be good no matter what. And I think he'll be good as long as he's healthy, but it's a big question if he's going to be healthy. That's legitimate.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to play Drew Kendall because he can move better, Yeah. Like, I think people get too deep in the weeds. Like, he's smaller. He's more athletic.
Landon can block guys better than the rest of them still.
Exactly.
Dice followed up. He said, walking after drills. Late career Jason Peters is what they said. Ooh.
he's always been that way. I mean, like he said, he had 2 ACLs in college.
I know.
mean,
Landon's going to be one of those old school NFL players that just
Yeah.
struggles to walk after he's done his career, man.
Unfortunately, it's
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you can have Willie Lampkin. Willie can move. Get him in there.
People love Willie Lampkin, John.
I know they do. Haven't seen him snap, but that could be an issue. He's a better guard than he is a center.
Better guard than really, even at his size. That's surprising a little bit.
Yeah.
I guess not, but
can't snap the ball. You got to be able to snap the ball.
Who's the dude who couldn't snap the ball and then BLJ got into it with him?
Brett Toth. Brett got much better at that though. He you can improve. And Brett's living. He had a great season last year.
Okay, for our boy BLJ. Yo, Brett, focus on the field, dude. What are you worried about BLJ?
Well, the thing is, and again, this is how difficult it is to practice. BLG is going to be on tomorrow, but we had been watching. Here's the thing: we had been watching Brett as a backup center, Brett, for years, and he had a lot of trouble with shotgun snaps. A lot of trouble over the years. Now, he typically took center. There was one day at practice where Trevor Keegan was playing center pretty much out of the blue, and he had some bad snaps, and a bunch of us thought it was Brett Toth. It wasn't. It was Trevor Keegan.
That's right.
And I got it right, thankfully. So Brett didn't get mad at me, but yeah, it was just a misunderstanding. But he got much better. He deserves credit. He got much better at it.
Good stuff. All right, Dice. Thank you for the super chat, brother.